The mind is either your biggest enemy or your greatest tool. You decide most people wake up and their mind is already in charge. It pulls them into worry, distractions, overthinking, and doubt before the day even begins. And that's why they stay stuck. Because if you don't take control of your mind, it will keep leading you in the wrong direction. It'll make excuses. It'll search for comfort. It'll keep repeating the same thoughts that held you back yesterday. But once you learn how to control your mind, everything starts to change. You stop reacting. You stop wasting energy. You start making clear choices. You move with purpose in this video. You'll learn how to take back control step by step. You'll learn how to think better, focus deeper, and stay grounded no matter what's happening around you. This isn't about hype. This is about building the mental strength that real success demands, and it starts right now. Chapter 1: Command your mind to stop chasing useless thoughts. You've got to get serious about one thing. If you really want to succeed your mind, that's where it all starts. Success doesn't begin with a job. It doesn't begin with a bank account. It doesn't begin with talent or connections. It begins with how you manage your thoughts. If your mind is out of control, your life will be out of control. So today you've got to decide to command your mind. Not just talk to it. Not just hope it listens, but command it. Most people never think about what they think about. Their minds run wild all day, jumping from one useless thought to the next. They worry about what doesn't matter. They think about what other people are doing. They repeat the same fear-based stories over and over again. They go through the day letting their minds drag them around like a leash. And then they wonder why they don't feel strong. They wonder why they never feel clear or confident. But if your mind is full of things that weaken you, how can you expect to feel powerful? You have to stop that cycle. You have to wake up in the morning and take control before your mind runs off with nonsense. That means you start your day by choosing what deserves your attention. Not everything deserves your time. Not every thought deserves a seat at the table. Some thoughts show up just to drain you. Some thoughts are there just to make you feel small. You've got to recognize them and push them out fast. See, your brain is a machine. It'll do whatever it's been trained to do. If it's been trained to chase distractions, it'll chase distractions. If it's been trained to react emotionally to small problems, it'll do that all day. But if you train it to focus on your goals, your values, and your priorities, then it'll start working for you instead of against you. But you don't train your mind once and forget about it. You train it daily, you guide it, you correct it, and you don't let it wander without permission. When a thought comes up that doesn't serve you, stop and say, "This isn't helping me. This isn't leading me forward. This is wasting my energy." And then shift it, replace it with something useful. Not positive thinking just for the sake of it, but practical thinking, focused thinking, the kind that reminds you of what matters right now. That's what discipline is. It's not just about doing the work, it's about thinking the right way. Discipline starts in the mind. You can't expect yourself to take smart actions if your head is full of noise. You've got to clear that space, create room for strength, not weakness. Create room for clarity, not confusion. There are thoughts that move you forward, and there are thoughts that hold you in place, thoughts that feed growth and thoughts that drain it. You've got to be smart enough to know the difference and strong enough to choose the right ones every single day. So how do you do it? First, become aware. Pay attention to where your thoughts go during the day. Notice what keeps popping up. Notice what makes you feel tired, what makes you feel lost. That's the mental clutter. That's what needs to go. If it doesn't make you stronger, it doesn't belong. If it doesn't help you grow, it's holding you back. Second, create structure. Don't let your mind wander all day with no direction. Give it something to focus on. Write down your priorities. Write down your goals. Give your mind a list of things to come back to when it starts drifting. The mind needs anchors, otherwise it will keep chasing whatever it sees next. Third, stop feeding your mind with junk, the same way your body gets weak from bad food. Your mind gets weak from bad input. If all you do is scroll and consume nonsense, your brain starts thinking nonsense is important. Be smarter than that. Choose what you watch. Choose who you listen to. Choose what you allow in your head. Your mind is your space guarded, like something valuable. Fourth, build strong mental habits, just like brushing your teeth or exercising. Mental discipline needs repetition. Start small. Begin with 5 minutes a day of focused thought. Sit with your goals. Ask yourself what matters most. Right now, train your mind to return to clarity. And over time, you'll notice it gets easier. It gets sharper. You'll stop chasing what doesn't matter. You'll start letting distractions quicker, and you'll stop letting them run. The fifth challenge. Your thinking. Don't believe every thought that shows up. Some of them are based on fear. Some are based on your past. Some are just plain wrong. Ask yourself, is this true? Is this helping me? If not, toss it. Don't argue with it. Don't entertain it. Replace it with something useful, something strong, something that moves. You see, success isn't a result of luck. It's a result of mental control. It's the ability to stay locked in when others lose focus. It's the ability to keep your energy strong when everyone else is drained. It's the ability to think clearly when life gets messy. That's what sets people apart. Not who they know, not what school they went to, but how they think, how they respond to pressure, how they stay grounded every day. Your mind will offer you a dozen doors to walk through. One door leads to your goals. The others lead to worry, anger, regret, or distraction. Which one are you choosing? You're the one in charge. You're the one who has to say, no, not today. Today, I'm focused. Today, I'm disciplined. Today, I'm in control. And when you learn to command your mind like that, everything changes. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop overthinking and start doing. You stop wasting time and start building. You stop doubting and start believing. That's what mental control gives you. It gives you your power back. So if you're tired of feeling stuck, start here. If you're tired of feeling scattered, start here. If you want to feel strong again, start here. Stop chasing useless thoughts. They've taken enough of your time, enough of your energy, enough of your life. Now, it's your turn to take over. Your turn to lead your mind. Your turn to build the life. You know, you're capable of. Start with one thought, then another. And don't stop. That's how you win. That's how you grow. That's how you succeed. Chapter 2. Force your brain to stay on what matters. If you want to reach success, you've got to do something most people never learn to do. You've got to train your brain to stay on what matters, not once in a while, not when it's easy, but every single day. The truth is, most people let their brains run loose. They start the day with good intentions, but then something small grabs their attention and it's gone. One message, one notification, one worry, one distraction, and their mind. Then another thing pulls them, and before they know it, their time, their energy, their entire focus is scattered. That's how people waste years without even realizing it. They're busy, but they're not productive. They're thinking all day, but not about anything that actually moves them forward. So if you're serious about changing your life, you've got to make a decision from now on. I will train my mind to stay on what truly matters. That's not easy at first. It takes effort. It takes attention. But if you don't do it, your brain will keep drifting to whatever is easiest. Not what's important. There's a reason why some people make progress fast, and others stay in the same place. The difference, it's not intelligence, it's not luck, it's focus. It's the ability to stay locked in on what counts, the ability to say no to the small things and yes to the right things. That's what separates those who move ahead from those who stay confused and overwhelmed. You have to understand something very clearly. Your brain is a tool. It responds to patterns. If you train it to switch tasks every 5 minutes, it'll keep doing that. If you feed it shallow content all day, it will become addicted to that pace. But if you train it to stay still, to stay calm, to stay on one thing for a long time, it will listen. But it doesn't happen by accident. You have to take control. That means you have to decide what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Start by asking yourself one question: what really matters right now? Not what's urgent, not what's loud, but what truly matters, what actually moves your life forward. What's going to help you become who you want to be, what's going to bring progress. Not just activity, and once you find the answer, you stay there. You don't move. You give it your full attention. You don't let your brain escape the moment just because something else shows up. That's how you build mental strength. That's how you build success. You've got to stop letting your brain chase things that don't serve you. It'll try. It'll offer you an easier option. It'll pull you toward comfort. But you've got to be the one who says no. You've got to be the one who decides what gets your mind and what doesn't. You can't give everything your attention and expect to get results. You've got to narrow your focus. You've got to choose what matters and train your brain to return to it over and over. No matter what, when your brain wants to scroll, remind. What's important when it wants to drift, bring it back. When it wants to jump to the next thing, pause. This is where most people give up. They think it should feel easy, but success doesn't feel easy. Staying focused doesn't feel natural at first because the world is constantly offering you new things to look at, to worry about, to react to. But if you can resist that, if you can stay centered on what matters, you'll start building something strong inside you, a kind of calm power, a clear direction. And once you start practicing this every day, you'll notice something. Your energy improves, your mood improves, your confidence rises. Because instead of being pulled in 20 directions, you're rooted in purpose. You're not jumping from one meaningless thing to the next. You're not wasting your day on mental noise. You're focused. You're building something. You're moving forward. And don't just wait until things get quiet to practice this. Do it in the chaos. Train your mind to stay on track even when the world is loud, when people are calling, when problems are rising. That's when mental control matters the most. Anyone can focus when life is calm, but real strength is built when you can hold your focus under pressure. It's also important to know your triggers. What breaks your focus? What pulls you away from what matters? Is it your phone? Is it fear? Is it comparison? Whatever it is, be honest about it. Don't ignore it. Face it. If your phone is the problem, put it in another room while you work. If it's fear, write down what you're afraid of and challenge it with facts. If it's other people's lives, stop looking and start living your own. You can't afford to keep giving your mind away to things that don't help you grow. One of the best things you can do is create a routine that helps your brain stay on track. Give it structure. Start your day by reviewing what matters most. Set one goal, not 10, just one, and give your best to that. If your mind drifts, bring it back. If you get interrupted, return quickly. Don't beat yourself up, just return over and over. That's how focus is built, not by perfection, but by consistent return. And give your mind time to rest. This isn't about being rigid all day. It's about knowing when to focus and when to recover. A rested brain is a focused brain, so don't burn yourself out trying to force clarity. Take breaks, step back, but always return to what matters. When it's time, you also need to protect your focus from emotional overload. Some days, Emotions will try to take over. You'll feel frustration, anxiety, or doubt, and if you let those emotions control your focus, they'll hijack your entire day. So when those emotions rise, pause, don't react, just sit with them. Breathe, acknowledge them, then ask, does this help me move forward? If not, choose a different response. Choose to return to what matters even when your feelings are allowed. Train your brain to work for you, not against you. Teach it that success requires focus. Teach it that what matters comes first, and when you do this enough, you'll start to notice that the distractions lose their power. They don't pull you as easily. The temptations don't control you the way they used to. You've built a stronger mind, a clear mind, a focused mind. And with that kind of mind, success is no longer a dream. It's something you create one thought at a time, one choice at a time, one day at a time. That's how you win. You win by staying on what matters long enough to let it grow. You win by refusing to chase what doesn't serve you. You win by showing up fully every single day with a focused mind and a clear direction. And once your brain understands that it works for you, not the other way around, everything starts to change. Your time gets better, your decisions get better, your results get better. Because now you're not just living, you're building, you're becoming someone who leads their life with strength, not noise with clarity, not confusion with focus, not chaos. And that's the kind of mind that success belongs to. Chapter 3, decide what to think and never drift again. If you want to build a strong life, you have to start with this: decide what to think. That sounds simple, but most people never do it. They let their minds go wherever they want without direction. 1 minute, they're thinking about their dreams. The next minute, they're stuck in doubt. The mind is always active, always moving. But if you don't lead it, it won't go anywhere good. The moment you stop deciding what to think, your mind begins to drift, and drifting leads to confusion. It leads to delay. It leads to weakness. You lose control of your time, your mood, your energy, and eventually your life. What separates people who succeed from those who don't is not always talent or opportunity. It's how they think. Successful people make a decision about their thinking. They know what thoughts they will allow and what thoughts they will reject. They don't leave it to chance. They don't leave it to habit. They wake up and choose. They remind themselves daily, this is how I think, this is where my mind goes, this is what I focus on. That's not magic, that's discipline, and anyone can build that. If you want to stop drifting, the first thing you have to do is take responsibility for your thoughts. No one else is going to do it for you. Life will throw distractions. People will have opinions, problems will show up. But you're the one in charge of what you focus on. You decide if you want to think about growth or defeat. You decide if you want to dwell on what's wrong or work on what's possible. Starts with ownership. It starts with knowing that every thought you choose either builds you or breaks you. Your mind becomes whatever you allow it to focus on repeatedly. If you allow it to keep returning to worry, it becomes fearful. If you allow it to focus on setbacks, it becomes hesitant. If you allow it to feed off negativity, it becomes bitter. But if you take control and start choosing thoughts that build belief, courage, and direction, everything begins to shift. Your actions get stronger, your mood improves, your momentum returns. This is where most people miss it. They don't even know they're drifting. They think because they're thinking they're moving. But thinking without intention is like walking in circles. It tires you out but gets you nowhere. You have to give your thinking a purpose. You have to say, this is what I want to build today, and then you train your thoughts to follow that over and over. Because your brain learns through repetition. The more you focus on what matters, the more natural it becomes. It's not willpower, it's mental training. There will always be noise. Your mind will always offer you reasons to stop, to fear, to complain. You'll get reminders of past failures. You'll hear your doubts. You'll feel pressure. That's all part of it. But the difference is, you don't have to accept every thought that shows up. Just because it's in your head doesn't mean it's true. You don't have to give attention to everything your brain produces. You can observe the thought and then make a choice. Does this help me move forward? If not, let it go. Replace it with something useful, something strong, something real. If you want to lead your mind, give it something to work with. Don't let it guess, don't let it search for problems just to stay busy. You need clarity. That means you need a vision. You need to know what kind of person you're trying to become. You need to know what kind of life you want to create. Once you decide that filter every thought through that lens, ask, does this match the person I'm becoming? If not, it doesn't belong. You've got to protect your thinking like you protect your future, because it shapes everything. Drifting happens when you stop choosing. It happens when you're passive, when you let your environment think for you, when you let social media, fear, or other people's drama direct your thoughts. You don't have to follow every noise around you. You don't have to believe every opinion. You can step back, pause, and think for yourself. That's where power comes from. Not from reacting, but from choosing. You decide what you think. You decide what you believe. You decide what you give energy to. One of the best things you can do is create daily thinking time. Even 10 minutes. Sit down with a piece of paper. Ask yourself questions that matter. What do I want today to look like? What's the most important thing I need to focus on? What am I thinking that might be holding me back? Get those answers clear, because when your thoughts are clean, your actions become sharp. But if your thoughts are messy, everything else will be messy too. Another way to take control is to pay attention to your environment. Who are you listening to? What are you watching? What kind of energy are you around every day? Because all of that feeds your mind. If you're surrounded by noise, your thinking becomes scattered. If you're constantly consuming drama, your thoughts become reactive. Be intentional. You don't need more input. You need better input. Choose what you let in. Your mental space is limited. Don't waste it. Success requires clear thinking, and clear thinking requires attention. You can't keep living on autopilot and expect great results. You've got to pull your mind out of the fog and get serious. Ask yourself, what am I doing with my mental energy? Am I wasting it on things that don't matter? Am I repeating thoughts that slow me down? And if the answer is yes, make the shift. Start choosing thoughts that help you grow. Start building a mindset that works for you, not against you. This isn't about being perfect. You'll have off days, you'll have moments where the old thoughts come back. But the point is to return to notice, to correct. That's where strength comes from. You notice the drift, and you return to focus. You notice the fear, and you return to courage. You notice the doubt, and your turn to belief. That's how you build control. Not by avoiding struggle, but by mastering your return. And don't expect everyone to understand. Most people aren't doing this work. Most people don't even realize how often they drift. But you're not most people. You're someone who's choosing to think on purpose, to live with clarity, to lead with intention. And that will set you apart. Not just in results, but in how you carry yourself. You'll be calmer, sharper, more confident. Not because life is easier, but because your mind is stronger. That strength is available to you right now. It's not locked behind some special program. It's not only for the naturally disciplined, it's for anyone willing to take full control of their thoughts and build from there. You don't have to drift through your days. You don't have to keep repeating the same patterns. You don't have to let your mind lead you into confusion and frustration. You have the power to choose anew. And once you do, everything starts to change, one thought at a time, one decision at a time. That's how you take your mind back, and that's how you build a life that actually works. Chapter 4. Reset your mind every morning with full intention. Every day when you wake up, your mind is at a crossroads. You either take control of it or it takes control of you the way you begin. Your morning has more power over your entire day than most people realize. What you think in those first few moments, what you focus on, what you tell yourself, sets the direction for your mindset, your behavior, and your results. That's why you need to reset your mind every single morning with full intention. You can't just roll out of bed and hope the day goes well. You have to decide what kind of day you're going to create. And that starts with training your thinking. The moment your eyes open, you see your mind doesn't start blank each morning. It starts where you left it the night before. If you went to bed stressed or discouraged, your brain will carry that into the next day, unless you interrupt it. That's why a reset is necessary. It's not automatic, it's something you do on purpose, not just once in a while, but every day, without exception. This is how you take control before the world gets a chance to influence you. This is how you stay centered no matter what happens around you. When you wake up, your first task isn't checking your phone, it isn't answering messages, it isn't thinking about problems. Your first task is to stop and think about who you are and where you're going. Remind yourself of what matters. Not everything, just the few things that actually move your life forward. The things you've decided are worth your energy. Because if you don't do this, your brain will chase whatever shows up first. It'll drift, it'll panic, it'll fall into the same mental habits that keep you stuck. But when you reset with intention, everything changes. You give your mind a fresh start. You remove the noise. You tell yourself the truth. You begin from clarity instead of confusion, and that one choice can shape your focus, your attitude, your effort, and your confidence for the entire day. That's how powerful your morning mindset really is. You don't need an hour to do this. You just need to be fully present. Give yourself a few minutes, sit up, breathe, think clearly. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? What actions will reflect that? What distractions need to be ignored? This is how you reset, by deciding your direction. Instead of reacting to everything around you, you become proactive instead of passive. You live with purpose instead of pressure. Most people begin the day already behind. They start rushed. They start distracted. They start burdened by thoughts they didn't choose. And by the time the day gets moving, they've already lost control of their mind. That's why they feel scattered. That's why they lose focus, because they never stop to take ownership of their mindset before the world demanded their attention. If you want to break that cycle, the answer is simple. Don't start the day by reacting. Start by deciding. Reset your mind deliberately. Wipe away the noise. Clear out the mental clutter. You're not the same person you were yesterday. Today is new today. You get another chance to live with strength, with direction, but you only get that chance if you take it. And taking it means slowing down and choosing how you want to think. It's easy to overlook this step. It's easy to tell yourself that you're too busy or too tired. But if you skip this, you lose your edge. You lose your inner control. And once that's gone, everything gets harder. Your decisions aren't as sharp. Your reactions aren't as calm. Your work isn't as strong. You start depending on circumstances to feel good. But when you reset your mind early, you carry strength with you. You don't need everything to be perfect. You don't need the world to agree with you. You've already made your choice on how to think, how to act, and what to focus on. It's about building a new standard for how you show up, not just physically but mentally. The reset is your preparation. It's your way of saying, I'm not going to let yesterday control today. I'm not going to let pressure make my choices. I'm not going to let worry speak louder than my purpose. I'm in charge. I'm leading this mind, and I'm starting now. There's something powerful about beginning with that level of intention. You walk differently. You talk with more clarity. You become more focused on what really needs to be done. And when distractions show up, you don't follow them when stress appears. You don't panic because your mind is already grounded. It's not looking for direction. You gave it one the moment your day began. Some people think this takes motivation, but it's not about motivation. It's about responsibility. Motivation comes and goes. Responsibility stays when you make it your job to guide your own mind. You stop waiting for the right mood. You stop hopping for a better day. You start making better days by building better mornings. And those mornings begin with a mental reset. You can't wait for peace to find. You create peace by making your thoughts serve your purpose. That's what the reset is. It's not just about thinking good thoughts. It's about clearing space for discipline, for commitment, for decisions that make sense. That's how you stop reacting. That's how you take your time back. That's how you get serious about the life you're building. And it's not something you do just when life is hard. You do it every day, especially when things are good. Because if you only reset when you feel stuck, you're not consistent, and inconsistency creates confusion. But if you reset every morning, without fail, you create stability. You create structure. You give yourself a mindset that can handle pressure, setbacks, and responsibility. Without collapsing. If you really want success, this has to become a daily discipline. You don't just wake up and hope your mind behaves. You shape it, you guide it. You return to what matters. You remind yourself of who you are and what you're after. You don't let the past control the present. You don't let outside noise drown out your inner values. That's what it means to lead yourself. This is something you build. It gets stronger with practice. The more you do it, the faster your brain learns to follow your direction. You'll notice you get distracted less, you handle stress better, you stay focused longer. And it's not because the world changed. It's because you changed how you enter the day. If there's one habit you build this year, let it be this one. Start every morning by taking your mind back before you do anything else. Make sure your thoughts are aligned with the life you're building. Make sure your energy is moving in the right direction. Don't leave your mind open to anything. Fill it with what matters. Set your focus early. Speak with purpose. Move with clarity. You can't control everything that happens today, but you can control how you show up for it, and that begins the moment you wake up. So reset with full intention, and then carry that mindset with you into every hour of your day. That's how strong days are made. That's how clear minds are built. That's how real success begins. Chapter 5. Control your focus when life tries to distract you every day. Life brings distractions. Some are loud, some are subtle, but they all have one goal: to pull your attention away from what matters. They don't ask for permission, they just show up. One thought leads to another one. Message turns into a scroll. One complaint from someone else becomes your emotional burden. Before you know it, your mind is no longer on your work, your goals, or your direction. It's wrapped up in things that have nothing to do with where you want to go. That's why you have to build the ability to control your focus when life tries to distract you. Focus isn't something you find. It's something you protect. It's not about waiting for the perfect environment. It's about creating a mental space where you decide what matters and block out everything else. That decision has to be firm, because if you're not firm, the noise will always win. There's no shortage of things ready to steal your attention, but they only succeed when you wallow them in. You have to recognize the pattern. Distractions aren't random. They come when your guard is down, when you're tired, when you're bored, when you're frustrated. That's when your brain looks for something easier, something more comfortable, something that feels like relief. But relief isn't always good. It can become a trap, Because once you follow that path, it becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it becomes your normal. That's how people drift away from progress without realizing it. They don't make one big bad decision. They just let their focus slip a little every day. The power to stay focused in the middle of chaos is what separates people who make it from those who keep starting over. It's the skill that allows you to stay consistent when everything around you feels urgent. And that's the truth. Most of what distracts you isn't important. It just feels urgent. It feels like it needs your attention now. But the question isn't whether it's loud. The question is whether it deserves your energy. You can't give your focus to everything and expect strong results. Your focus is limited. Your time is limited. Your energy is limited. So if you want to build something meaningful, you've got to become more selective. You've got to say no more often. You've got to protect your focus like it's the most valuable resource you have, because it is. Without focus, your talents don't matter. Your motivation won't last. Your goals won't get finished. Focus is what turns plans into action, and action into progress. And focus isn't about staring at something for hours. It's about keeping your mind where it needs to be. It's about noticing when your thoughts drift and bringing them back without hesitation. That's the practice. It's not that distractions won't come, they will. But your job is to recognize them early and return to your priority. The faster you return, the stronger you become. Most people waste time because they don't even know they've been distracted. They get pulled into conversations that don't matter. They chase opinions that don't help. They react to problems that don't require their involvement. And by the end of the day, they're exhausted, but not from work, from scattered thinking, from misplaced focus. That kind of life will wear you down. It'll keep you busy but not effective. You'll feel like you're doing everything, but going nowhere. If you want to break that cycle, start by building awareness. Watch where your mind goes. Notice the moments when you lose track of what you were doing. Write them down. If you have to become a student of your own attention, the more you understand your patterns, the more control you gain. And once you know your weak points, you can build a system to guard against them. That might mean turning off notifications during deep work. It might mean setting a timer and committing to a task for that period. It might mean creating a morning plan, so your focus isn't scattered before the day even begins. It might mean taking short breaks on purpose so you don't burn out and look for distractions just to feel better. These are small actions, but they produce big results because they bring your mind back to what matters. And sometimes the distraction isn't a thing. It's a thought, a memory, a fear, a worry about what could happen. When your brain starts spinning with stories, it pulls you out of the moment. You can be sitting at your desk and completely somewhere else. You have to catch that. You have to stop and ask, am I thinking something useful right now? Is this helping me take action or just making me overthink? If it's not useful, shift it. Replace it with something clear, something real, something grounded in now, not what ifs. One of the strongest things you can do is to decide what your mind is allowed to focus on. Make it clear. Say it to yourself every morning. Today, my focus is this. Not 10 things. One thing. Stay with it. When life pulls you away, don't react, don't judge. Just return. That's how focus is built, through quiet return, not harsh discipline. Don't fall into the trap of needing perfect conditions to stay focused. You don't need silence. You don't need to feel perfect. You just need to commit. Distractions are everywhere. They always will be, but the person who learns to stay focused, no matter the noise, is the one who wins, because they don't wait for the right mood. They don't wait for motivation. They move forward anyway. That kind of focus builds confidence. Every time you bring your attention back to what matters, you teach yourself that you're in control. You're not a victim of your environment. You're not owned by your habits. You're someone who leads your life on purpose, and that identity becomes stronger every time you practice it. People will try to pull you into their world, their problems, their pace. But you don't owe your attention to everyone. You owe it to your purpose. That's where your best work lives. That's where your growth lives. That's where your next level is waiting. You don't get there by giving your mind away all day long. You get there by keeping it close, by directing it, by choosing it when life gets noisy. Don't follow the noise. Stay calm. Stay committed. Stay with what you decided matters. Distractions don't deserve your energy, not today. Not anymore. You've got something to build. And the only way you build it is by locking in when others drift. This is how focus becomes a strength, not through force, but through choice. Quiet choices, daily choices. You win the battle of attention by winning one moment at a time. That's how you stay consistent. That's how you create meaningful results. That's how you rise above the noise, control your focus, and you control your future. Chapter 6. Direct your thoughts like you steer a car. Most people don't realize this, but your thoughts don't move on their own. You are the one behind the wheel. You are the one deciding the direction. But here's the problem. Many people never learn how to drive their thinking. They let their thoughts go wherever they want. 1 minute they're focused, the next they're thinking about problems from 3 years ago. 1 second, they're motivated, the next they're caught in worry about something they can't control. They're not steering anything. They're just reacting. And when your thoughts aren't guided, your life starts drifting. You end up off course, confused, frustrated, and wondering why nothing feels right. That's why learning how to direct your thoughts is not optional. It's the core of building a life that works. If you don't give your mind a path, it will create one. And the path it creates usually follows habit, emotion, and distraction. That kind of path doesn't lead to growth. It leads to repetition, the same worries, the same mistakes, the same regrets over and over. You feel like you're thinking, but you're actually circling. Thinking isn't enough. You have to think on purpose, and you have to steer your thoughts like you'd steer a car deliberately, with both hands, paying attention to the road ahead. There's a moment in every day when you notice your thoughts starting to go in the wrong direction. You start doubting yourself. You start thinking about what other people think. You start looking for excuses or blaming circumstances. And in that moment, you have a choice. You can let it continue, or you can take the wheel and turn it. You can remind yourself where you're going. You can choose a better thought. That's your responsibility. No one can do that for you. The longer you wait, the harder it gets to turn back. That's why you have to catch it early. The sooner you redirect your thoughts, the more power you keep. Too many people live their lives in mental autopilot. They're not asking themselves why they're thinking what they're thinking. They're not questioning if their thoughts are helping them or hurting them. They just keep driving the same direction, even when it's taking them further away from their goals. You've got to interrupt that pattern. You've got to ask real questions. Why am I thinking this right now? Does this help me move forward? Is this the direction I want to go? If the answer is no, don't wait, turn the wheel, shift your thinking, do it with intention, not frustration. You're not just changing a thought, you're taking your power back. Directing your thoughts is not about fake positivity. It's not about forcing yourself to smile when you're struggling. It's about clarity. It's about deciding what thoughts deserve space in your mind and which ones don't. If a thought leads you to action, to truth, to strength, it stays. If a thought leads you to fear, to delay, to weakness, it goes. Simple as that. That's how you build mental control. Not by thinking everything is fine, but by choosing to focus on what moves you forward instead of what holds you back. It takes practice, just like learning to drive. At first it feels awkward. You'll drift, you'll overcorrect, you'll catch yourself late. That's normal, but you don't give up. You don't tell yourself, this is just how I think. You remind yourself that how you think is how you live. And if you want to live better, you need to think better. And to think better, you need to direct those thoughts not randomly, but with intention. One of the strongest ways to do this is to build mental checkpoints into your day. Pause throughout the day and ask yourself, what am I thinking right now? Is this helping or hurting? Where is this thought taking me? This brings awareness, and awareness gives you the chance to take control. Without awareness, your thoughts run wild. With awareness, you become the driver. You also need to remember that steering your thoughts doesn't mean avoiding pain. It means deciding how to face it when something difficult happens. Your mind will want to spiral, that's normal. But you can choose not to stay in that place. You can choose to shift your attention toward solutions, toward action, toward perspective. You still feel the emotion, but you don't let it lead you. Let your values lead you. Let your mission lead. That's what separates strong thinkers from reactive ones. They don't ignore reality. They just don't let it control them. You have to know where you're going. You can't steer towards something if you don't know the destination. That's why clarity matters. So much. Who do you want to become? What do you want to build? What kind of energy do you want to bring to your life? You have to know that. You have to decide that. And then you have to direct your thoughts to stay aligned with it every day, over and over. Because if your thoughts don't match your destination, you'll never arrive. This is why personal standards are so important. If you don't have a standard for what kind of thoughts you allow, you'll take whatever shows up. You'll let old fears speak. You'll let doubt sit in the front seat. But when you have standards, you don't tolerate certain patterns. You don't let your mind entertain things that weaken your drive. You say, that's not who I am. That's not how I think anymore. And you return your focus to what matters. You need repetition. You don't master your mind by reading one book or hearing one good idea. You master it by returning to your decision again and again, by practicing mental discipline in quiet moments, by correcting your focus when noon is watching. Every time you redirect your thoughts, you're strengthening your control. You're rewiring how your brain responds. And over time, what was once difficult becomes automatic. Your mind starts to follow your lead. This kind of thinking creates confidence. Not loud confidence, quiet confidence, the kind that says, I can handle this. I can stay calm. I can make a decision. I can move forward. Not because life is perfect, but because your thoughts are under control. You're not being dragged by fear. You're not spinning in confusion. You're leading your mind with strength and focus. There will always be things outside of your control, but the one thing that will always be in your hands is how you think, what you dwell on, what you focus on, what you repeat. That's your steering wheel. That's your advantage. Don't hand it over to emotion. Don't hand it over to outside noise. Keep it in your grip and guide it where you want your life to go. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to stay aware, stay intentional when you drift. Come back when you notice doubt. Shift it. When you hear old stories in your head, rewrite them. Every shift is a win. Every return is growth, and every time you choose your next thought with purpose, you're becoming someone stronger. This is your mind. This is your life drive. It with purpose. Think with discipline. Lead yourself every day. That's how you stay in control. That's how you get where you want to go. Chapter 7. Reject weak thinking. The second it shows up. Weak thinking doesn't knock on the door. It doesn't ask permission. It just shows up quietly, quickly, and without warning. One moment, you're doing fine, and the next, you hear it, you're not ready, you're not good enough. What if it doesn't work? That's how it works. It slips in. It sounds like truth, but it's not. It sounds familiar, but it's false, and if you don't catch it right away, it starts to grow. It builds momentum. It feeds off your attention, and soon your actions are slower. Your energy is lower, and your confidence starts to slip. That's why you don't argue with weak thinking. You don't let it speak twice, you reject it. The second it shows up, weak thinking loves delay. It wants you to pause to doubt tusken guesses because the longer it stays, the harder it becomes to break. That's why you need to act fast. You can't entertain it. You can't explore it. You can't give it a seat at the table. The moment you notice a thought that drags you down, cut it off. Not with frustration, but with clarity. You don't need to get emotional about it, you just need to see it for what it is, useless. It's not helping you grow. It's not making you stronger, it's trying to hold you back, and you're not here to stay stuck. This isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about making a choice. Weak thoughts will always be there. But what matters is what you do with them. Do you let them run your day, or do you interrupt them and shift direction? That's your job. You don't need perfect thoughts, you need responsibility. You need the ability to take control of your mind before it pulls you into a place. You don't belong. People think mindset is just about motivation. It's not, it's about decision. Every time a thought appears, you get to decide what it means to you. You get to decide if you keep it or throw it out. That's your power. And if you don't use it, you'll be controlled by patterns you didn't choose. You'll keep hearing the same mental noise that's held you back before, and each time you listen to it, you give it strength. You build a mental loop that repeats, and that loop becomes your mindset to stop that. You have to take a new approach. You don't wait until the weak thought becomes a crisis. You catch it when it's small. You notice it as soon as it speaks, and you shut it down immediately, not later. Not after you've already wasted energy on it. Right away, that kind of speed builds mental sharpness. You become alert. You become aware. And when you're aware, you have power. You're no longer reacting, you're responding with strength and intention. You also need to know where weak thoughts usually show up for you. Everyone has a pattern. For some, it's before they try something new. For others, it's when they fail. For others, it's when they compare themselves to someone else. Learn your pattern, pay attention to your triggers. Because when you know where the weakness starts, you can prepare for it. You don't need to be caught off guard every time. You can train yourself to see it early and cut it off faster. Weak thinking often sounds reasonable. That's what makes it dangerous. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers, it disguises itself as being cautious, realistic, or protective, but the result is always the same. It slows you down, it stops momentum. It feeds hesitation, and that hesitation costs you progress. That's the real danger. It doesn't stop you with force. It stops you with delay. One small hesitation becomes a missed opportunity, and if that happens enough, it shapes your identity. You need to respond with strength, not just by rejecting the thought, but by replacing it with something solid, something based on who you're becoming, not who you were. That means creating a few clear truths you can return to when the noise starts. You can say, this isn't helping me. This isn't who I am. I know what I'm building. I know what I stand for. That's not just a mindset, that's mental armor. It protects you when doubt tries to get in. Discipline doesn't start with action. It starts with thinking. You can't act strong if your thoughts are filled with weakness. So you start at the root. You start by taking control of what plays in your head. And when it doesn't match the direction you've chosen for your life, you reject it without apology. That's not being cold. That's being clear. That's standing guard at the door of your mind. That's saying, I respect my future too much to let this thought stay. Weak thinking can't survive in a mind that's committed. That's why commitment is so important. When you're clear on your values, on your goals, and on your identity, weak thoughts don't have much room to move. They bounce off, but if you're uncertain, they slip in. They find gaps. They look for cracks. That's why personal clarity is one of your best defenses. When you know who you are and what you're about, you don't need to think twice about rejecting what doesn't Fit, you also need to stay grounded in action. Weak thoughts grow stronger when you sit still, when you overthink, when you replay conversations or imagine worst-case scenarios. That kind of mental activity feeds the doubt. But when you move, when you take small steps forward, when you stay busy with purpose, your mind stays focused on growth. It doesn't have time to spiral. It's too busy building. That's the secret. Stay moving. Not in chaos, but in clear, focused effort. You don't fix weak thinking by thinking more. You fix it by doing something that proves it wrong. And you can't just do this once. This is daily. This is hourly. This is a habit. Every day you wake up, the thoughts will be there, but so will your power to choose, and that power gets sharper. The more you use it, the more you reject what doesn't serve you. The more natural it becomes to think with strength. Eventually your default becomes stronger. You don't struggle as long. You don't fall for the same lies. You see them coming and you move right past them. This is how mental toughness is built, not by avoiding challenges, but by facing them with a clear mind, a clean mind, a strong mind. You don't have to wait until you feel brave. You don't have to wait until everything is perfect. You take control. Now you lead yourself. Now you reject weakness, not because you're fearless, but because you're focused. Weak thinking doesn't go away forever, but it loses power when you stop giving attention. You don't beat it by force. You beat it by discipline, by clarity, by knowing your worth and protecting your focus. Every time you make that decision, you grow, you get better, you get clearer. And over time, you stop looking for permission. You stop needing validation. You don't wait for your mind to be in the right place. You put it there on purpose. That's what mental leadership is. That's how you build a mindset that drives your life forward. That's how you grow into the kind of person who doesn't fold under pressure. You face it, you lead through it, you rise above it. All of that starts with a simple but powerful rule. Reject weak thinking. The second it shows up, without delay, without debate, without compromise, your mind is yours. Own it fully and build something strong with it. Chapter 8. Choose what to believe and protect that belief. Belief is one of the most powerful forces in your life. It shapes the way you think, the way you speak, the way you act, and ultimately the life you create. But most people never stop to ask a very simple question. What do I believe, and where did that belief come from? Did you choose it, or did it come from someone else? Did it come from failure, from fear, from the past? Because if you didn't choose it with full awareness, it may not be working for you. It may be limiting you instead of lifting you. That's why you need to stop and take control. You need to choose what to believe and protect that belief. With everything you've got, you don't get to success just by learning new skills. You get there by believing that success is something you're capable of. That belief has to be built. It doesn't come automatically, and it doesn't stay strong on its own. Every day there are people, situations, and inner voices that try to chip away at your belief. They question your worth. They remind you of your failures. They point out your flaws, and if you don't stand up for your belief, it won't survive the pressure. You'll start to shrink. You'll start to play small. You'll start to hesitate, and over time you'll forget the reason you started. That's why belief is not just a feeling. It's a decision. A clear and personal decision about who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going. You don't have to prove it to anyone. You don't have to explain it. But you do have to protect it. You have to guard it like something valuable, because it is. Everything you do flows from it. Your discipline, your habits, your relationships, your work, it's all shaped by what you believe about yourself. If you believe you're not ready, you'll always hold back. If you believe you're not good enough, you'll avoid opportunities. If you believe that people like you don't succeed, you'll keep lowering the bar. That's why you have to stop letting beliefs form by accident. You have to step in and say, this is what I believe, and I'm going to defend that belief every day in every situation, even when it's hard. Now choosing a belief is only the beginning. The real work is in keeping it alive, because belief gets tested. You'll have days when nothing goes right. You'll face people who don't see your potential. You'll hear opinions that conflict with your vision. And in those moments, it's easy to start doubting. It's easy to start adjusting your beliefs to match what's comfortable or popular. But if your belief disappears every time life gets hard, it was never yours to begin with. Real belief doesn't need perfect conditions. It needs commitment. You build belief by choosing what to focus on every day. Your mind will offer you options, proof of why you can't do it, or reminders of why you can. If you focus on setbacks, your belief shrinks. If you focus on progress, your belief grows. That's how simple it is. Belief isn't built through big speeches or wishful thinking. It's built through repeated focus. It's built through action. When you keep showing up, you start proving to yourself that your belief is real. But don't just stop at believing in the goal. Believe in your ability to handle the journey. Believe in your resilience. Believe in your growth, because it's not just about where you're going. It's about who you are becoming along the way. And when your belief is rooted in who you are, not just what you want, it becomes unshakable. Sometimes you'll feel like the only one who believes in you. That's okay. You don't need the world to agree with you. You don't need permission to believe you. Just need to be honest with yourself. Do you want this badly enough to protect your belief through difficulty? Because belief is easy when you're winning. It's when you're doubting, struggling, failing. That's when it counts the most. That's when belief becomes the thing that keeps you standing. You also need to keep your belief visible. Write it down, speak it, remind yourself daily of what you believe and why. Don't let it get buried under distractions. Don't let it fade away under stress. Bring it to the front of your mind. Carry it into your routines, into your relationships, into your decisions. Let it guide the way you think and live. That's how you protect it, by keeping it active. A belief that is noticed is a belief that dies. Protect your belief by being careful who you listen to. Not everyone deserves access to your mindset. If someone is always tearing down what you're building, that's not feedback, that's sabotage. You don't need people who constantly make you question your worth. You need people who challenge you. Yes, but from a place of respect and vision. Surround yourself with those who respect your belief, even if they don't fully understand it. And most importantly, become that person for yourself. Be the one voice that never turns against you. One powerful way to protect belief is through action. Every time you do the hard thing, you reinforce belief. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen it. It's not the result that matters. It's the act of showing up with intention. That act tells your mind, this is who I am. And with enough repetition, that message becomes part of your identity. That's how belief becomes solid. Not through thinking alone, but through consistency, through proof. And remember, your belief doesn't have to look like anyone else's. You don't need to copy someone else's confidence. You just need your own kind of quiet conviction, something that feels right in your bones, something that reminds you, I don't have to be perfect. I just have to keep building. Don't fall into the trap of waiting to feel ready. Belief often comes after action, not before. If you wait until you feel strong, you'll miss too many chances. Instead, start moving. Start building and let belief rise from your own steps. Let it come from your effort, from your sweat, from your growth. That kind of belief is real. It doesn't fade. When things go wrong, it gets stronger because it's built on something honest. And even when it gets tested, you can return to it. You can go back to that decision. I choose what to believe. I'm not letting fear write my story. I'm not letting past mistakes define who I am. I'm choosing belief that builds me, belief that stretches me, belief that gives me the strength to keep moving forward. Your future depends on what you believe, right? Now, so don't treat this lightly. Don't leave your beliefs up to the world. Choose them yourself, and once you choose them, protect them, feed them, live by them. Because if you hold on long enough, you'll start to become exactly what you believed was possible. That's not luck. That's not chance. That's clarity, commitment, and discipline. That's the result of someone who chose to believe and never let go. Chapter 9. Discipline your mind when no one is watching. The true test of your mindset is not how you think when everyone is looking. It's how you think when no one is there to applaud you, to remind you, or to hold you accountable. That's where real growth happens, when there's no camera, no crowd, no reward. Waiting at the end of the hour, that's when you find out who you really are. Discipline is not a show. It's not about looking strong. It's about staying focused when no one will ever know if you did or didn't. And your mind, more than your body, more than your skills, needs that kind of discipline. Every day discipline means showing up for your own life without needing permission. It's about giving your thoughts direction, especially when you feel tired, when you feel off, when you feel like skipping the work. Anyone can be sharp when the pressure is on, but it takes something deeper to be sharp when it's quiet. That's where most people fall behind. They treat discipline like something that turns on only when there's a deadline or an audience. But real discipline isn't loud, it's not public, it's silent. It's you alone with your thoughts, making choices that shape your future. Your thoughts are with you every moment, and if you're not careful, they can quietly talk you out of everything you said you wanted. They'll tell you it's okay to take it easy. They'll remind you no one's watching. They'll offer you excuses dressed up as reasons. If you follow those thoughts too many times, you start training your mind to look for the easy way. And once that happens, consistency becomes impossible. You might show up when you feel great, but you disappear when it gets hard. That's not strength, that's emotional reaction. Discipline is the opposite of that. It's doing what needs to be done, even when your mood isn't in it. To develop discipline in the mind, you need to create your own standard. You can't wait for someone else to tell you what to think or how to act. You need to be the one who decides every day what kind of thoughts deserve your time. That standard has to be clear. You don't entertain self-pity. You don't feed frustration. You don't replay stories that make you feel small. That doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you stay rooted in your direction. You focus on solutions. You keep your attention on growth. And when a thought tries to drag you back into old habits, you challenge it without hesitation. No one is going to stop you from quitting on yourself. No one is going to stop you from choosing comfort. That's why this chapter matters. This is about what you do when there's no spotlight, when it's just you and your choices. The hardest thing to manage is not the outside world. It's your own mind, because your mind will test you. It will tempt you. It will try to get you to cut corners. That's why discipline is not a motivational feeling. It's a decision you make in advance and hold yourself to, regardless of how the day feels. You must become your own coach, your own accountability partner, your own guide. Talk to yourself with strength when the thought says, take a break. Ask why. When it says this is too much, ask what you've actually done, not to shame yourself, but to stay honest, to stay clear. Most of the limits we feel are mental. They're not real. They're built from stories we repeat to ourselves in private. If you want to rise, you have to change the story, and you change it by repetition. Discipline is not built in one day. It's not a flip. You switch. It's built through small decisions, repeated when no one's checking in. It's in the early mornings, when you choose focus over distraction. It's in the late nights when you say no to what's easy and yes to what moves you forward. It's in those random moments during the day when your brain wants to wander and you tell it to return. You don't wait for the right mindset. You train it, and that training happens when it's quiet. Many people think discipline is about restriction, but it's the opposite. Discipline gives you freedom. The freedom to trust yourself. The freedom to move without second-guessing. The freedom to know that no matter what's happening around you, your mind is under your command. That's a powerful place to live from, because now your confidence doesn't depend on how others see you. It comes from knowing you do what needs to be done, no matter who's watching. And it's not about perfection. You're going to slip. You're going to have days when your thoughts get the best of you. That's part of the process. But discipline isn't about never failing. It's about coming back fast. You catch the drift and you turn. You correct. You reset. You learn. That's strength. That's maturity. You don't stay in a slump. You don't let one bad thought turn into a bad day. You shift early. You return to the standard you set. There's a certain pride that comes with mental discipline, a quiet pride. You start to trust yourself more. You start to believe in your word again. You stop needing others to motivate you, because you've trained your mind to work. Even when no one's around, you've trained it to follow through. That kind of person is rare. That kind of person is consistent, and consistency is what separates average from excellent. To stay disciplined when no one's watching, create a routine. You respect one that serves your goals, one that challenges you to show up, not just physically, but mentally. Fill your environment with things that support your thinking. Cut out what pulls you away. If something weakens your mind, remove it. Don't argue with it, just move on. This is about building a life where your thoughts serve your purpose, not sabotage it. And don't wait to feel like you've earned rest. Rest is part of discipline too, but it must be earned through effort. Lazy thinking wants comfort without cost. Disciplined thinking earns peace. Through progress, you rest with clarity. You pause with pride because you know what you've done when nobody was there to clap for it. This mindset will carry you through the hardest seasons of life. When things get heavy and everything feels uncertain, your mind will be your anchor, but only if you've trained it in the quiet hours, only if you've taught it to stay calm, stay clear, and stay focused when no one else was around to hold you to it. That's what mental discipline really is. It's leadership over yourself. It's commitment when nobody knows you're keeping it. It's strength built silently, steadily, and with full responsibility. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need validation. You need truth. And the truth is, you already have what it takes. You just have to guide your mind to live like it. Discipline is the doorway to a new level of life, and it starts where no one can see it. So make those quiet hours count. That's where the real change begins. Chapter 10. Think like the person you want to become. Everything starts in your mind. The life you're building, the goals you're chasing, the habits you're forming, they all begin with the way you think. If your thinking doesn't change, your life won't. Either you can set goals, make plans, work hard, but if you keep thinking like the version of yourself who's unsure, who's holding back, who's trapped in fear, then everything you build will carry those limits. That's why you have to make a clear decision from now on. Think like the person you want to become. Not when it's convenient. Not when life feels easy right now. Every single day, regardless of what's happening around you, you don't wait until you achieve the result. You adopt the mindset of the future version of you before you arrive. You start thinking from that level now. Not because you're pretending, but because your thinking shapes your actions and your actions shape your outcomes. If you wait for success to give you permission to think differently, you'll never get there. You have to lead with your thoughts. You have to think with the same confidence, discipline, and focus that the future version of you lives by. You have to align your mind with where you want to go, not where you are right now. Ask yourself, how would the best version of me think? How would they respond to pressure? What would they focus on in difficult moments? What would they let go of the answers to those questions? Give you a model. And once you know how that person thinks, your job is to practice thinking that way, even if you're not there yet. Especially if you're not there yet, this is about building the mindset before you have the lifestyle, the identity before their results. Because if you don't think differently, the results won't stick. You'll always fall back into your old patterns. The thinking must change first. This isn't just about having big goals. It's about carrying the thoughts that match those goals. There's no use aiming for a strong, successful future if your mind is filled with excuses, doubt, and delay. You need thoughts that move you forward, thoughts that guide you through the hard parts, thoughts that keep you steady under pressure. Those thoughts don't show up on their own. You have to create them. You have to choose them. Every day you're going to be tested. You'll be pulled into distractions, into negativity, into fear. You'll hear thoughts that belong to your past, thoughts that say, "You've never done this before, you're not good enough, why even try?" And in that moment, you must return to your decision you've chosen. Think like the person you want to become. That person doesn't follow fear. That person doesn't get caught in hesitation. That person leads their thoughts not when things are going well, but all the time. You have to practice this like a skill. Just like you train your body, you train your mind, and that means repetition. It means catching yourself when you slip into old ways of thinking. It means stopping a weak thought mid-sentence and saying, "No, that's not how I think anymore." Then you replace it. You choose a better thought, not a fantasy. Not empty motivation, but a thought rooted in direction, in values, in growth. That's how you strengthen your mind over time. Start by getting clear on what kind of person you're building. Describe them in detail. How do they handle problems? How do they treat people? How do they manage their time? How do they carry themselves in difficult seasons? Once you know that, you set a mental standard. You hold yourself to it when you fall short. You don't quit. You correct. You study yourself like someone committed to growth. Not with shame, but with honesty. You don't rise by accident. You rise by practicing the future in the present. You don't wait for the perfect conditions. You build the mindset that creates those conditions. Even if you're just getting started, even if you don't feel ready. You think at a higher level first, and then you act from it. The more you act from it, the more it becomes who you are, and once it becomes who you are, nothing can take it from you. This is not about faking anything. This is about alignment. Your future requires certain thoughts. If you're thinking at a lower level, you're going to sabotage your progress without realizing it. You'll doubt the right opportunity. You'll hesitate in front of the right door. You'll talk yourself out of what's possible. That's not because you don't have potential. It's because your thinking hasn't caught up with your vision. When you think like the future version of you, you create alignment. Your mindset matches your goals, your actions match your words, and your results start to reflect that consistency. You also have to protect your new mindset, because not everyone will understand it. Some people are comfortable with the version of you that you're trying to outgrow. They're used to your old ways, your old stories, your old pace, but you're moving forward. Now that means you don't explain your thinking to people who aren't building what you're building. You stay locked in you. Stay grounded in who you're becoming. It's easy to slip back, especially on hard days, especially when life feels uncertain. That's when your old thoughts will try to come back, but you can't follow them. You can't make room for them. You've already made a decision. You've chosen to think like the person who is leading their life, not running from it. The person who shows up even when it's uncomfortable. The person who stays focused even when no one's watching. And if you keep choosing that, you become, and not all at once, but gradually you'll start noticing. Your patience grows, your decisions get better, your emotions stay more steady. You stop reacting and start responding because your thoughts are stronger. Your mind is trained, you've built an inner world that can support the outer world you're creating. Don't underestimate the power of one shift in thinking, one new belief, one moment of clarity that replaces confusion. Those small moments of choosing the right thought add up. They build momentum. They shape identity, and over time, they become the foundation of the life you've been working for. So every morning, return to the decision. Remind yourself, today I will think like the person I'm becoming. Not based on how I feel, but based on where I'm headed. That's what consistency looks like. That's what real change looks like. And the more you do it, the more your life will begin to match your mindset. Because the world follows those who think with strength, who lead themselves first, and who never stop growing from the inside out. That's who you're becoming.